Hello and welcome everybody to the only place where you can find top split racing action here at the Top Split TV channel. I am your host, Corey Steinhauser, along with my co-host, Tim Gorcrocher. We are here for Sunday Night Lights from Road America with what should be a fairly cracking race here tonight, Tim.
Yeah, Corey, good to be here. Thanks for having me again, of course. Just a big shout out to Alex McKellar tonight, taking a back seat, gave the keys to yourself and yours truly again. Going to be a great night of racing, Corey. Pretty excited. Road America always brings stacks of action, lots of drafts, 6.5 for the best kilometres on the series. And I'm pumped to see what this 3,700 odd soft can deliver tonight.
Yeah, that's right, mate. 37.48 being the second highest split of the week. We were just pipped by a race yesterday that was in the 3900s. But nevertheless, we will strive to have some of the best racing here on track. Now, you were in the pre-race here tonight, Timmy, and lots of three-wide action at the front. Is that something that we should be able to expect here in the top flight race here?
Yeah, mate, it certainly is. And I tell you, it's hard work around here with draft being, so strong. Yeah, although 6.5 Ks, it's incredibly quick. Only for that distance, 2.5 sort of minutes lap time. So you find yourself forever got someone on your tail, and they're all battling, to get into the top 2-3 positions for the final couple of laps. Corey, it's pretty intense out there, and the last race was certainly, it was hot under the collar. And I think the top 5 guys finished within 2/10 of each other, which is, that's what it's all about. That's what Skip Barber is all about. So, yeah, looking forward to that again. And hopefully that's what the guys bring tonight.
Well, we can only hope that that's what we're going to have here from these guys. I'm having a look here at Sasha Gourlay in the one car, making his way down the straight into one of the heavy braking zones, downhill left-handed braking zone, one of the more difficult corners on the track, making the run through the hurry downs. I do believe this section we're leading up to is called, and through the Canada corner, which is technically a bit of a carousel into the kink. That kink after the Canada corner is quite the difficult one there, Tim. What's some things that you can give as tip-wise to some of the maybe less inexperienced drivers about getting around there quickly?
Yeah, Corey, it is pretty challenging. Up the hills on the left-hand side is blind, and then you want to use all the track, but not pick up and off track on the exit. So really challenging to make all that to come together. Of course, you've got to get out to the left-hand side of the track quickly so you can sweep back across the apex to the right. But I got to say, though, not the most challenging section of the track. Like, tough, but getting through the right-hander, Paul Beatty on screen right now, he got through beautifully. Getting through there in the early laps of the race, without a doubt, the most challenging part of the Road America circuit, Corey.
And then we've got some more difficult sections. Like this place is just filled with long straights and then difficult sharp corners coming up into what will be a very heavy braking zone for a right-hander. These guys are going to be on the absolute limit of adhesion pretty much this entire lap, Tim. Any advice that you could give just to the guys that are on track right now about how to get around here?
Interestingly, with the lap being 2.5 minutes, and obviously you got to exit the pits, you've got to get your 2 laps done in your allocated 8 minutes. And really, if you do 2 good clean laps, it leaves you about 10 seconds time, like spare time, to warm up your tires. And really, like as every prior event, we haven't always had a sort of really draft focused track, but every prior event, you've had a little bit of time to warm up your tires. Not tonight, though. You've got to go straight out there, hit your straps, nail those apexes, get some good run out of the corners, and make it happen as quickly as you can. But Mark Kerr on screen, car 17, hasn't really troubled the timers too much early in the piece, Corey. About 2 seconds off of the pace that Juliano Frey has set. 2:33.6 is pretty nice. A good way to start, of course. Only 1 lap in the book so far. Everyone on their second lap now. Julian running down the hill. Keep an eye out for the number 2 brake marker. That's about where you hit the brakes. Don't want to lock up, though. You'll knock yourself a little bit sideways and really risk an off-track on the exit of that turn 3. Julian, though, coming up through the left-hander, we talked about how challenging it was before. He'll use all the track on the right-hand side, swing back across to the left, put the left-hand side of the car in the white line, pick up the apex on the inside there of that right-hander, and again, running out on top of the ripple strip on the exit of the right-hander there, Corey.
And it looks like that Julian definitely knows his way around this track, absolutely hitting all these apexes to a T. But another person of noteworthiness is the 5 of Anthony Catt, up there in the second position right now, less than a tenth behind Julian Alfre's first lap time. These guys look like they're going to be fighting it out a pretty tooth and nail here. And we've also got the 4 car of Jose Sawyer up in the top 5 as well. Absolutely incredible showing there for Jose. We don't usually see him this far up the grid. But doing well on the first lap as the guys will be trying desperately to get around. Only 32 seconds left in the qualifying session here for these guys to get these laps in. It's a bit of a pressure cooker situation here, Tim.
Yeah, and just prepare yourself for that timing board to light up, Corey, on the left-hand side of the screen. As these faster guys, they'll finish the lap before anyone else would have done 2 quite nice, quite quick laps. Expect the times to drop about 5 or 6 tenths. I mean, it's not significantly quicker, but obviously with the guys who are, we look at P10 is 6 tenths off the pace. I mean, if he was able to do a 31.6 and O'Fray have an off track, which is just so easy to do, then you might see, the fast guys who haven't quite got a perfect starting a bit further back than they'd like. But O'Fray, 32.9 that time, super lap, very quick. Be pretty happy with that. Gourlay jumps up as well. 0.16 off the pace. Witten and Henderson, go the Aussies. P3 and P4.
All right, now we're going to go through the grid sequence here. We've got Julian Alfray on the pole for Red Face Racing Team, and next to him will be his teammate, Sasha Gourlay, in the 2 and 1 plated cars, respectively. Then for VDR Team Milo, we're going to have Luke Witten out of third with Kevin Henderson out of P4. So that's a great result for our Aussies. Lee Anderson from the UK and I Club starting out of P5 with Peter Gola from the DEATCH Club out of P6. Samuel Collins from AusNZ in 7. Sam Devantia for Team Oval Team will be starting out of P8. UK and I's Anthony Catt will be out of P9 with Gang Ming Kui from the one of the American clubs, Carolina to be exactly, from P10, with Jose Sawyer out of 11th and Victor Tambernio out of P12. As we go over the page now, we see Timu Vascalampi uncharacteristically down in 13th, with Marco J. Keller out of 14th, Giuseppe Tellini out of 15th, with Paul Beatty out of 16th, Mark Kerr out of 17th, and Mitchell McLeod and Russell Clark down in 18th and 19th. Should be a cracking race here as we get ready to go green, Tim.
Corey, glad you were calling out the names because I would have really struggled with that.
The race starts.
Yeah, no, it should be great. The guys from the international competitors, O'Fray and Gourlay, first and second, extremely quick. Going to be hard to beat here. As the lights go green, we're off and away. No one's stalled on the grid. That's fantastic. Looks like a pretty clean getaway. It's going to be dangerous into turn 1, though, Corey. It always is, as O'Fray leads them away up to turn 1.
Now, it's going to be very hard to beat these red-faced racing boys off the front. Luke Witten is already giving it a little bit of a go with a little bit of a sneaky look up on the inside of Sasha Gourlay. Couldn't quite get the move pulled off. Files back in the third. We got quite a bit of a cluster going on in the mid-packs here. I've got Sam Devantia on screen right now. He's on the outside defending from the 5 car of Anthony Catt. These guys are just jostling for position, and in these mid-packs, it can be pretty dangerous, couldn't it, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. And Corey, very difficult through that downhill right-hander to get the car pulled up on cold tyres. 3 wide coming into the braking zone down the hill, though. I think that's Gourlay sweeping around the left-hand side or the right-hand side of O'Fray. Gets the move done very nicely up the hill. Got to be careful under brakes, though. Bit of a concertina. Hard to know exactly where the leader's going to brake, but they're through there pretty safely. Clean start, Corey. Really surprised, really pleased though. It's a good start as we have a breakaway of what, half a dozen, 6, 7 cars at the moment, Corey.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see it at the moment as we come into the Canada corner section. This is where the car is on the absolute limit of grip. These guys are balancing the fine act between trying to get speed going and trying not to let that rear end step out. A trick that's easier said than done in most cases as we start heading towards the kink that leads to the long back straight. It's another little area where you can take it flat, but it takes a little bit of patience and dedication to get it done just right. As we see now, the Red Face Racing boys going side by side, heading up to the next corner, and that is going to be Julian Alfray back into the lead with Sasha Gourlay back down to P2 there, Tim.
Yeah, good close racing up front there. Bit of activity back in the piece though, Corey. Sam Collins and Jose Soria, 2x2. Yeah, Anthony Cat caught up there too. Looks like Sam Devantier and Victor Tabanero going around the outside. Going to be challenging to get the move done. Might get a good run through that right-hander. No, he doesn't. Hung outside. And who's that up the inside? Timu Vascalampi, the Finnish driver with the sore hands he's been complaining about for the past few months racing. A nice run. Hopefully gets a bit of draft. Looks like Devantier's helping out Tabanero though. Timu's going to get left behind a bit easy. Who's he following? Anthony Cat right up front gets a move done past Sam Collins and Jose Soria to lead the pack. What a move by Cat. I think he was 3 or 4 places back. Got a fantastic run up the hill. A great draft. That's what it's about here. Making it happen. Getting some moves done as he's up to 7th place, Corey.
And that was quite the amazing move. We also had Tamburino going up on the inside of Devantia going into turn 1 as well. As we head back to the front of the pack now, these guys are fighting really hard as they're heading down to this hard left-handing braking zone. Luke Witten looking like he's fancying a chance, trying to get a run on Sasha Gourlay. Thinks better of it, just backs out of the move ever so slightly, not wanting to fight it out just yet, and runs a little bit wide there on the exit of the corner. He would have picked up a off track there, Tim.
Yeah, without question, 17 or so of those you've got to mingle with. Kevin Henderson, though, new paint scheme in that car. He's looking pretty racy. He's looking good. I know he's done this circuit a number of times, but P2 for the Australian contingent, 4th on the track at the moment. And things don't always go Hendo's way. You know, he likes a bit of elbows out racing, but hopefully tonight, Corey, a good haul of points as we are lap 2 of 10 tonight.
Yeah, that'd be exactly right. Kevin be absolutely desperate for a great result here, and if anyone can do it, he can. But he's also the unlucky or lucky recipient of the Egg and Bacon Award for being the one who seems to expire his engines quite a bit. It looks like the Red Face Racing boys at the front of the field starting to get a little bit racy here again. We see Sasha Gourlay heading up on the inside of Julian Alfray. These guys just leapfrogging, trying to find maybe a little bit of time on Luke Witten and Kevin Henderson, trying to pull away from our Aussie contingent. But it looks like they're a little bit fruitless at the moment here, Tim.
Yeah, it does. But those two up front, Sasha and Julian, they know that, you know, every little bit they can eke out at the moment is a bit of time, a bit of protection for later in the race. When you start to battle, when those lap times go from high 32, low 33 region, you know, into the 34, 35 area as you start to battle, for, you know, on lap 9 and 10. So that extra little bit of protection, you know, at the moment, probably looking around it is around the 2-second mark from Henderson back to Lee Anderson from the UK and Ireland Club. Those guys, they want 4 or 5 up their sleeve, which hopefully they can, you know, that they can work on to build throughout the race so that they can have a ding-dong battle coming the last couple of laps, Corey.
Now, what I think is a little bit of amazing here right now is I'm just having a look at the lap times here on my software, and it looks like our top 3 drivers have not actually laid down a clean lap yet here, Tim. We know that they're pushing the limits to the absolute maximum they can, but what can they do to try and mitigate that but still maintain a bit of pace?
Interestingly, the last couple of times they've been through turn 3, the left-hander down the bottom of the hill here. They've certainly taken the off track, and I guess that's not preferred. As I said, you only get 17, a couple of lap, and they're easy to rack up. A couple of lap, and you know you get disqualified. But that time through, pretty clean. No one really picked up the off track. Interestingly, the off track is just about a quarter of a car width to the right of the darker ripple strip through that section. But pretty clean that time, and pack of 4 out front looking pretty good. Pack of 5 behind from Anderson through to, I think it's going to be Sam Collins at the back of that group. Those guys working pretty hard. I'll tell you who's not going to be happy to be in there. That's Sasha Goria here. Sorry, Soria. Sorry. That is Jose Soria. He had a great race last time around. Didn't obviously make it quite come together in qualifying. Think I read in chat that he picked up an off track. But he's got his work cut out tomorrow. We know how quick he is. He's as good as the guys up front, just hasn't quite make it happen. You know, this early as he puts a move on Gola from the German club. Very nice. Is he going to make it 2 moves in the one straight? No, he's not. Trying to get it done on Lee Anderson. He pokes it up the inside. That's a nice move. Very nice move. Lee Anderson, though, says, no, I'm having none of that. Puts his foot to the floor. I don't think he's going to get out of the throttle and let Jose Soria have that position. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Jose sweeps back across the front. Wants to get all the way out to the left-hand side of the track for the final corner, Corey, so he can get a nice run up the hill, up to the start-finish line.
And I reckon this racing will actually suit Jose quite a bit here, because I have noticed that lately he's been getting into a little bit of the oval racing. So this big drafty kind of race package is right up his alley. As I'm having a look just behind this pack here, I've seen a little bit of a 3-wide situation, which included the 14 of Mitchell McLeod. We also have Timmy Vascalampi and Marco Keller in there as well. Marco Keller coming out the best of the 3 at the front of this little battle pack. And just behind them is the Sam Devantia car in number 6. He would not be happy with being this far down in the pack. But these guys fighting tooth and nail right now. You see Sam going for an inside move up on Mitchell McLeod there at turn 2, I think that was.
Yeah, Sam's had a good week this week. Put in plenty of laps, showing great pace. But I'm seeing a couple of battle scars on the front of that number 6 Ovaltine Skip Barber race car. That front end is a bit rattly. It's going to be costing him some top end speed. 195, 196. Mitch McLeod, though, blew the doors off him that time by, crept up over 200, made the pass easily, but Sam is back in P14 and he is not going to be a happy camper out there at the moment.
Nah, definitely not, but we're going to go back to the front of the pack now to see how our leaders are getting on. And it looks like Julian Alfrey is currently leading from Sasha Gourlay, still Luke Whitten and Kevin Henderson in 3rd and 4th respectively. And it also would appear that we have lost Russell Clark to the pits. I'm not sure what's happened to Russell here, Tim.
Looks like a little bit of damage on the front end of that car. Might see if we can pick up a replay at some point. Russell Clark, the director of the Team Milo brigade. We know he's been pretty heavily involved in recruiting this year. Milo front and center. There's a lot of cars on track. Looks like I reckon he lost it coming up the hill over the start finish line. Drove into the back of someone, but very uncharacteristic for Russell. Not uncharacteristic for Milo, though, Corey, because we see that sort of stuff from that crew pretty regularly. But unfortunate nonetheless, and Clark out for the evening.
And that is very unfortunate indeed. Russell would be ruling for a good result, and unfortunately he's not going to get that out of this race. But luckily for him, Luke Whitten is still up in that top battle for the lead and 3rd place in that 8 car. As we're coming up on the main straight again to complete lap number 4 and start lap number 5. The Redface Racing boys going for another leapfrog here on the main straight. And it looks like we've also got a battle going on in that 2nd pack as well at the moment, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. The 2nd pack's looking particularly racy still. But, you know, we spoke earlier in the piece, Corey, about the need for these guys to work together, bridge that gap as much as they can, so that when on lap 8, 9, 10, when the lead pack is sort of squabbling, looking to get into P2 as you want to, I guess here, Corey, you want to get the run up the final section through the final corner, get the run of the guy in front, and there's just enough gap between the final corner and the start finish line for you to pull out a draft and take the win. So, you know, when all that's happening, all these guys are battling. That 2nd group, who are 4 seconds back at the moment, they'd be pretty desperate to bridge that gap. But while they're 2 by 2 going through turn 3, they're doing no favours to help themselves out. Plenty of activity behind that group, though. I'm not sure who that is. Is that I think that's Tellini. Is it Vascalampi from the Finnish club? Huge bit of an incident there coming into turn three. Corey, I'll let you call this one, mate.
Oh, well, I'm just having a look at the replay right now, and quite the heavy accident indeed. Oh, Vascalampi, I'm pretty sure that is climbing over, I think that's Marco Keller. Uh, Came across on him and took him out. That is not very good at all. Just trying to fight for the space there in the braking zone. It's very easy to get a little bit askew and just run into the bloke next to you there, Tim.
Interesting. I'm going to say that one's on Timo. I reckon he's come across to the left. Keller holding a relatively straight line, but from my perspective, I think that one's firmly on Vascalampi. Unfortunate though. Looks like Mitch McLeod. Did he get through unscathed? He did. Really lucky. Lost a position of Paul Beatty. Paul up in a P15. Not where he'd like to be at the moment either. He's been racing pretty nicely, but this race leaving a little bit to be desired. Those three, maybe 2.5 seconds thereabouts off the group in front, which is led by Cat. Collins at the back of the pack. A little bit of work for those guys to do. I don't think, Corey, they've got the pace to make it happen, as another second has been eked out by the leaders on that second pack that time by.
Yeah, I think the problem with this second pack is that they are battling it out way too much. As you can see now, as they're going along the front straight here, Sawyer has pulled out from the draft cat, and then he's also got Tamburino and Lee Anderson going with him. Lee Anderson actually making it 3 wide as we're coming into the first corner. So Lee Anderson saying, look, I want to lead this one right now. I don't care what you guys are doing, but I want to be in front. And instead of trying to, work together to catch the field, as we've touched on, their squabbling is definitely making them lose a lot of time here, Tim.
Yeah, poor form by those guys. Lee Anderson in particular, I've got to say, he's a really good driver. I've spent plenty of time watching Lee race, but to go 2x2 and really ruin any chance of Cat making the move on Soria to get ahead, to gain 3 or 4 tenths, maybe half a second with a good run, just on this straight alone, I mean, that sort of working together is invaluable. So silly to see that sort of activity, but it is what it is. Those guys are in charge of their own destiny. But at this rate, Corey, not a whole lot happening as we are 6 laps in and pretty comfortable out in front at the moment, O'Fray and Gourlay.
Indeed, they are, and they've just been continuing to do their little leapfrog thing and just maintain this gap amongst the top 4, which is extending the lead that they have over that second pack. That, as we touched on, that second pack's definitely not helping itself with the infighting that's going on there. But these guys definitely have everything completely under control as we're coming out of that right-hand sweeping corner, heading towards the kink here, Tim.
Yeah, last time by, just for reference, Corey, the leaders, the lead pack of Frey and Gourlay, 32-3, 32-1 for Witten, 32-3 for Hendo. Great work by Hendo, just by the way. Soria, the leader at the moment of the trailing pack, are 32-6, so they lost, 3, 4, 5 tenths. Anthony Cat as well, a 33-1. I think he crossed the line first on that last lap, Corey, but around about 9 tenths, 1 second slower than the lead pack, just because he and the guys he's racing with can't get their butts in a gear and work together at a track where, working together, that teamwork, although you're racing completely separately, that teamwork to make it happen, to be able to battle at the end, is really letting those guys down tonight.
Well, yeah, it's definitely one of those unspoken, rules of racing. If you're in that second pack, you've just got to work together, teammates or not, rivalries or not, just to see you can have a chance of trying to catch this front pack. As we now see Sasha Gourlay going a little bit defensive there, going to the inside line, making his teammate Alfred go around the outside. Alfred still getting the position made there as they're going into the first corner. It looks like these guys are going to start getting a little bit antsy and a little bit racy here, Tim.
Yeah, it's slowly coming out of that sort of time, Corey. Lap 7 now. 4 to go to knock this race over. Luke Witten, though, we haven't spoken to Luke much. He's been pretty quiet back there, which is good for Luke. Nice for him for a change to not been it too early. He's a great racer, but has lost a bit of his mojo probably the past 12 months. But great to see him up in P3. I'm really excited to see what he can bring later in the piece, though, in 3 or so laps time as we start battling, try and get into P2, make a move. I mean, these guys up front, though, Corey, their racecraft is right up there with the best of them. They're very challenging to pass as I found out in the race prior to this one. But we'll see what Luke's got. He's a previous 2K Cup winner, so he's got plenty of skill. He's certainly not lacking in that department, but just needs to put it together at the right time. Runs nice and wide there too. Lucky to not pick up any front wing damage as he runs over the ripple strip and the bump that is on the exit of that right-hander. But yeah, keen to see what Luke can do. We know how good he is, just a matter of putting it all together at the right time, Corey.
Well, something that we did touch on a little bit with Sasha last week when he came in for an interview was, there is a little bit of team tactics that goes on with the two red-faced racing boys. They are in some kind of TeamSpeak or Discord situation where they can communicate to each other without everyone else hearing it. And that allows them to just plan a little bit to make sure that they get all their moves done right. As we can see, our Frey going for another move around the outside of Gourlay and managing to get it done. These guys are just going to be, doing everything that they can to keep Luke and Kevin behind them. They don't want to get beaten by our Aussies, but I think Luke is in prime position right now for when those final lap does start, because he will take every advantage he can get. He is a very quick driver when he wants to be, and I reckon this track is suiting him down to a T.
Yeah, absolutely. And interestingly, Corey, not something we talk about, and that is the equipment that the drivers use, at home, on their rigs, on their sims. The top three guys on track all race VR. Just an interesting bit of food for thought, whether that's a more cost-effective, more realistic way to go. But Hendo, I believe, is on monitors, but pretty good up the front at the moment still, with those boys who are extremely quick leading up front still.
Well, just having a look at the times here for the last lap, and we've got a 32 dead from Al Frey, but we've actually got a faster time down in the field a little bit here. I'm having a look at the 11 of Peter Goller, who has managed the first 31 of the race with a 31.904. That is some quick driving right there, Tim.
Looks like a couple of guys managing to creep into the 39s, but again, they're down, they're back a little bit further on. We want to see the car up front now, that 39. The car up front, looking pretty dangerous. Who's that poking the nose up there? Victor Tabanero having a look up the inside of Lee Anderson. Glad he jumped on the brakes to keep his nose out of there. It was going to end in tears. And we've already had one pretty major crash there tonight, Corey. But yeah, these guys, as I said all night, they need to work together. It's just crazy that they're not 2x2 here and there, 3 wide occasionally, and it's just... they're getting flogged. What's the gap now? 6.5 seconds or thereabouts. The leaders aren't necessarily any quicker than these guys. It's that they're not working together, and that's going to be the end of their night. And the end of the good points hole at this 3700 soft is putting it off them tonight, Corey.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tim. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think these guys really have anything for our leaders. They're just too far gone at the moment, because the gap is just too massive between these guys and our leading crew, as we see another change of position for the red-faced racing boys up at the front of the field. Gourlay this time taking the charge as we go into one of the more difficult corners on the track, heading into the final sector. But let's go back and touch on the VR versus monitor situation, because there is a lot of differences between the two, and once you go to one, it's hard to swap over to the other. With VR, it's more of a 3D view, and you can turn your head and see wherever you want to go, but you don't have the peripheral vision of, say, triple monitors there, Tim.
No, you don't. And having recently changed a couple of months ago from running the 49-inch ultra-wide monitor into VR, you're absolutely right. The field of view on VR is pretty narrow, and you find yourself having to work a lot harder to see what's going on, and really relying on the spotter, the in-game spotter, to help you get an understanding of where other cars are. But looking pretty racy on track at the moment. We might just give the VR chat a bit of a rest. 3 wide as we run down the front straight into turn 1. Who's that? Anderson on the inside, Cat in the middle, and I reckon it is Soria in... he was stuck on the outside but got the move done past Cat. Runs nice and close, almost too close, I'd say, to the back of Lee Anderson. Really risky doing that, Corey, because you really risk having or getting checked up as the car understeers into the corner or mid-corner, and it really can ruin your run down the straight. You see, he hasn't really blown the doors off Lee Anderson, which he would do if he was 3 or 4 tenths back and used every little bit of draft possible. Cat closing up under brakes right there. Soria missing the apex. Lee Anderson runs wide. Might pick up that off track we spoke about earlier, as it looks like Tabanero poking his nose up there too, wants a bit of the action. As there's only 1.5 laps left in this race at Road America, Corey.
Yeah, another concern there as well for riding so close, especially on corner exit, if someone does get a little bit loose on the exit curbing or just stepping over and into the grass, there's also the chance of a little bit of a net code contact there, which could cause some big dramas for this second pack. But at the moment, it looks like they've got things going pretty all right here. But we should probably jump back in with our leaders as they should be just about to start their final lap. They're coming along the back straight for the penultimate time. And Luke Witten's starting to get racy here behind our two leaders in the Red Face Racing team. He's starting to look for a little bit of a way around, get a little bit squirrely on the brakes too as they're coming into this heavy braking zone. These guys are going to start eking every little bit of time and pressure they can out of these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. As they go up through 13, the uphill left-hander, bit of a funny corner. The exit of the corner on the right-hand side is blind. You can't see it when you pop up over the hill. As it looks like, who's that? Oh, Frey getting a little bit sideways. Luke Witten saying, hey, I'm going to have something with this. You know who's really benefiting here, though, Corey, is Kevin Henderson. He's sitting back in draft, ready to make a run on these guys. 3 wide up the straight. That's what we like. Last lap's begun. Sasha Gourlay just with his nose in front. Luke Witten saying, hey, I'm going to have some of this. And Frey in P3. Hendo, I think he's just biding his time, not getting too close, just taking it easy. Knows what he has to do to get the win here. He's been a winner of the SNL races before. Don't know whether he's won a soft of this big for a little while, but he's keeping an eye on things, and who really knows what'll happen. Maybe a bit of contact. It's going to be interesting sort of end of the race as Luke Witten doesn't get a brilliant run out of that last corner. O'Fray says, hey, I'm going to have some of you. He's using the draft that Gourlay is offering. Might actually poke his nose up the inside of Gourlay. Gourlay says, hell no, I'm going to the left. Luke Witten, though, he's getting excited. 3 wide as we run down the hill. Keep an eye for that number 2 brake marker, because that's when they're going to hit the anchors. Gourlay on the inside, though, O'Fray on the outside. These guys are racing harder than I think they'd like. O'Fray getting a good run up the hill. Back to line astern before the guys settle for the final couple of chances they have on this lap, Corey.
Now, one thing that I did notice there, Tim, is when they were coming around that first corner, Sasha Gourlay stayed very wide. Even though he was the leader, he didn't take the apex. He stayed out wide, so Luke would stay up on his inside, and he could give the draft assistance there to Julian Alfred before they hit that second corner. Very smart thinking there by the Red Face Racing boys, making sure they're trying to preserve that lead. And at the moment, it has worked out for them as we're heading into the kink for the final time. A little bit of looseness there by Alfred. Sasha Gourlay stepping out of his draft just to make sure that he wasn't going to run up his clacker too early. But this is where all the money's on the table. Who have you got your money on for the win right now, Tim?
I'm going to put my ball on the line and say it's Luke Whitney who's going to do something miraculous and maybe get a run around the outside. Personally, Corey, you want to be on the outside of the final turner, the final corner, as Luke Whitten. Maybe I'm going to eat my words. It looks like Gourlay and O'Fray have got things pretty well in control here. I know it's close up front, but they're running out of corners. Entry into the final corner. What's O'Fray going to do? He says, hey, I'm going to chuck it up the inside. No, he doesn't. I think he's going to try and get a bit of overlap. A really nice run up the hill. The gap is only 2 tenths as they run up to the line. O'Fray pulls out of the draft right up to the line. Looks like he's going to get the job done. He does. What a fantastic result for O'Fray. Sasha Gourlay in second, Luke Whitten third, and Kevin Anderson with a monster haul of points tonight. Well done, Kevin, in P4. And where are the group behind, headed up by Lee Anderson, at on track right now?
Oh, I'm just noticing that there might have been something that happened there at some point in the race. We lost Anthony Cap from that second pack. I'm just having a quick little look back down to the right-hander there on that final lap. They were 3 wide going into that right-hander, and he's just tapped the back of Sawyer, and he's spun off into the wall, losing his tires there. We got the replay up on screen right now, I think. I think we're just a little bit behind it. So yeah, as you can see, they went 3 wide along this back straight. Incredible racing action. We've got Lee Anderson up there on the inside, Sawyer in the middle, and Cat on the outside. So coming into the apex, there was a little bit of spookiness there for Jose as he got a little bit too close to Lee Anderson, and Cat just nowhere to go, climbing over his left rear tire into the wall, breaking off the rear wing, breaking off his tires. And that was all she wrote for Anthony Cat, who's fallen down to 13th position there at the end.
Yeah, super unfortunate for Cat. I'm going to say what I reckon happened there, Corey. He didn't know that it was 3 wide. I reckon Anderson popped his nose up the inside of Soria. Soria obviously knew that there was a car there, but Anthony Cat completely oblivious to it. And you can't, I mean, as a race driver, there's nothing you can do. It's just, proper unfortunateness on the track. But disappointing for him. He was probably looking at P5 tonight. I felt he had really good pace out there. Just unlucky, and that is what it is. I can just see a bit of text chat in the in-game chat after the race, and Anthony Cat realising a bit of netcode contact and just unfortunate. So good on him. Good on him for being a good sport. And it looks like the race up the line for that second group ended up being pretty tight, albeit without Cat.
All right, now it's time for us to go check out the results of this race. And we got the two-plated car of Julian Alfrey up in the winning position there for Red Face Racing Team. Sasha Gourlay, his teammate in P2, with Luke Witten for VDR Team Milo with an excellent result there, sitting in P3, and a long-awaited top 5 result there for Kevin Henderson in 4th place. Then for 5th place, we have Piston Sim Racing Team with Jose Sawyer. And then out of 6th place, we have UK and I's Lee Anderson. Victor Tamburino from Iberia out of P7 there, with Samuel Collins out of 8th. Peter Goller out of 9th position with VDR Team Milo's Paul Beatty sitting there in P10. We have Gungming Ku out of 11th from the Carolina Club, and Mitchell McLeod wrapping up our SNL points for talkinc.com.au. You can go check him out at twitch.tv/talkinc out of 12th. Over the page, we got Anthony Cat from UK and I, as I alluded to earlier, finishing in 13th position with Giuseppe Tellini out of 14th there for Club Italy. And we got Mark Kerr in 15th, with Sam Devantia finishing a lap down for Team Ovaltine in 16th. Not sure what happened to Sam there, but that's an unfortunate result for him. And then we have DNFs from Marco J. Keller, Timu Vascalampi, and VDR Team Milo's Russell Clark to wrap up the field. The fastest lap of the race was a 2:31.834, just a couple of tenths outside of the world record for a race time. Of course, the strength of field was 37.48, and what an incredible race it was here for round 9 at Road America, Tim.
Yeah, it was, Corey. Everything we kind of expected, all the things we talk about, they all came true tonight. And a nice battle on the last lap, a nice battle between the Red Face Racing teammates. Luke Witten unfortunately couldn't get it done, and Hando, of course, sitting back in P4 observing, watching it all happen. And then plenty of activity in the second group too. Just unfortunate contact on the last lap for Cat. But yeah, great night's racing. And I mean, that's what we expect out of Road America. Nice to not have someone, just drive away with it and have a boring race up front. Although we had to wait 10 laps for it to really come down to the final corner. And we spoke about that, getting into P2 and, getting the good run up the hill. And that's exactly what O'Fray did. Gourlay, I think he thought, I really got to get a great run. And it's just challenging to do sometimes, particularly when you're under a lot of pressure from the car behind. So I think these guys are free for interviews shortly too, Corey, if now's a good time to bring them up.
Yeah, so I think we're going to be starting in finishing order. So we're kicking things off here with our winner tonight from Red Face Racing Team is Julien Alfray. Julien,
Hello.
how
Hello,
are you
how are you
doing,
guys?
mate? great win.
Yeah, thank you. We had no time to train with Sasha, so hard to find the strategy. But we do the previous race together, so we have one race training.
It was very interesting watching you guys plan strategy on the fly and then execute it quite well. Um, was there much pre-planning, or was it mostly just in the race as you were going along?
Oh, it's during a race we plan this, and sometimes we don't plan anything. We just race and adapt to what's happened around.
Now, you guys were getting a little bit hassled there by Luke Witten throughout the race. Um, we noticed at some points that you guys were having to defend quite hard against him. Did you think that he was going to try and get a move on you in that final lap?
Yeah. We expected what he do, just follow all race long, so that's nice. We we can um, take create the gap with fourth or five maybe, I can't remember. And we know this move at the final lap will happen, but we don't know where. So we have to adapt. We can plan this. Uh, I can't. Maybe other driver can, but
Now, it's seeming like at this point of the season, it's going to be very hard to stop you and Sasha. Uh, are you guys looking forward to the rest of the season, or is there a track that one of you guys is maybe a little bit unsure about?
oh yeah, this one we are really bad. Joke. No, you are. We are fast on every lap, every track. I think there is no track where we are a bit below. This is why we have a good result at the uh, classement. Yeah, classement.
All right, mate. Well, while we've got a little bit of time left over, do you want to give a quick shout out to anyone?
Oh, can you repeat? I don't understand.
Uh, who do you have to thank for helping you out with the race today?
I'm sorry, I don't understand this one. I have a good comprehension, but sometimes some word I don't understand.
Would you like to thank your team and your supporters?
But thank you to all. I have a great time when I practice with teammates, and and when I rest to teammate too. We have a good feeling with Sasha since he is on the into the team.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Julian. Congratulations on the win again, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you. See you next week.
So there you go, Timmy. Julian Alfrey, one of our international contingent. Obviously, a little bit of a language barrier there, but damn, he is one hell of a racer.
Yeah, Corey, we certainly, no questions about it. He can steer. He can also work the accelerator and the brake. It's pretty handy, I got to say. And I think after, I think Frey is just leading the points haul actually at the moment. It looks like Gourlay just a couple in front, but those two guys are unstoppable. I've got to be honest. They are kind of the cream of the crop at the moment, as good as any out there, and leading the championship 1 and 2. But I think it's time to bring Sasha up and have a chat and see how his race went.
Hello.
Hello, Sasha. How's it going, man? Congratulations on P2.
Thank you.
And what was a great race between yourself and Julian there?
Yes, it was a more tactical race than hard fighting, but that's what we needed to do to get away in front. So yes, Luke and Kevin were clever and didn't try to fight too much with us, and yeah, in that way we did a big gap between our pack and the following pack. So yes, it was fine.
We did notice at some points Luke Witten was looking very threatening, trying to get a move around both of you guys, especially in those dying laps. But we also noticed that you and Julian there playing a little bit of strategy with the way that you guys were conducting yourself on track, blocking him a little bit. Uh, how quickly do you guys have to think of those kinds of moves when you're just racing there on the fly?
Um, yeah, the problem is that the track is very big, so there is a lot of place to do three wides. So it was not possible to really block him. Uh, so yeah, we were just looking in our mirrors and trying to see where he was gonna do the move. And I think Julian did a little mistake on the last corner on the lap 9. So there, Luke had the opportunity to overtake both of us. But finally, we have overtaken him back. So yes, P1 and 2, it's what we wanted. So it's nice.
Now, we were just having a look at the fastest lap times just after we wrapped up the race, and mate, you were just a couple of tenths away from the world record for race lap. Uh, how does that affect the way that you feel about how the race went?
Personally, I don't really look at the fastest lap because it depends a lot of the draft you have. So if you start a lap 1 second behind a fast guy, you can do a very quick lap catching him. So yes, that's not very important for me. The best lap. I just look at the final result.
All right, so next week we're heading to the new track of Catalunya in Barcelona. Uh, is that a track that you think will play to yours and Julian's strength, or maybe is it going to be a little bit of an unknown track since we haven't done a proper race there yet?
Yeah, I really don't know. I have never drive on this track, so I will have to learn it and practice a little bit more, and yeah, we will see how it is going after the practice. But for now, I don't know the track. Well, I know it because I'm watching Formula One, and I know a little bit of it, but I haven't drive on it yet on iRacing.
All right, mate. Well, before we let you go, anyone you like to thank here tonight?
Yeah, sure. You, Alex, Corey, and Tim here for the comments and the podcast, and to Julian, my teammates, with I can train and race really fine and cleanly every time. So thanks to them and you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, mate. Congratulations on P2, and we look forward
Thank
to
you.
seeing you again next week.
Yes, for sure. For sure, I'll be there like every week. See you.
Catch up. All right, there you go, Tim. Sasha Gourlay, P2, the one-plated car, and those Red Face Racing boys are going to be very hard to stop for these last three races.
Yeah, without a doubt. Interestingly, Sasha wasn't at all disappointed. I think, he certainly seemed like he's got a real team focus going on, and for he and Julian to get the 1 and 2 is everything that they were looking for tonight. So well done to them. But we spoke about Catalonia just a moment ago. Personally, Corey, I'm pumped. A great track, I think quite challenging, despite the fact that there's a few straights here and there. Quite challenging to race on. So hopefully a good turnout this week. Typically, though, the paid tracks, the newer tracks aren't as well supported, but hopefully everyone gets behind it and we have a great week of Skip Barber ahead of us.
Well, I am definitely looking forward to it. It's a race a track that I've raced a lot on Formula One games, and I think it's a nice combination of low speed, mid speed corners, and long straights. So definitely going to make things interesting for our race. But do you have any final comments here before we go through the wrap up here?
Nah, tonight's race was everything I could have kind of hoped for. Good bit of activity on track, bit of action, couple of crashes, and of course a couple of guys out in front who were in complete control the whole time. So well done to everyone. Thanks for coming out, and of course the people in the Twitch chat for jumping in and getting involved. And Corey, I'm pumped to do it again next week.
Of course, mate. Now we're going to bring up the social media stuff here now. Don't forget to go and check out the replay of this race and the visual podcast over at the Top Split YouTube channel. You can also catch the Top Split podcast over at thetopsplit.com, discord.io/the Top Split for the Discord channel where we conduct the interviews and just generally hang out and have a little bit of fun. And also go and check out the Facebook page over at facebook.com/the Top Split. You can catch Alex doing some random racing stuff here at the twitch.tv/Top Split TV, and also the future broadcasts for the race. And you can go and catch me over at twitch.tv/Corey Has No Life 13 for a little bit of randomness with some ovals and some league racing stuff. And I've also got a broadcast going over at the Aussie Sim Commentator channel. That's twitch.tv/Aussie_Sim_commentator. And also go and check out facebook.com/SpeedwayMeme69 for real life racing stuff from the Perth Motorplex, which I go out and film every time there's a major event on. But that is going to be it for us here tonight. On behalf of my co-commentator, Tim Gorcrocher, and Alex McCullough running the cameras tonight instead of being behind the mic, it's going to be ciao for now, and we'll see you guys next week at Catalunya.